Hello everyone! Today's the day I finished the Gamera series. I began reviewing these films in 2020, and back then I made a controversial decision to go out of order, starting with the 1965 original, and then jumping all the way forward to Gamera the Brave, which was what I could get at the time, and then the Heisei trilogy, before going back and tackling the Showa-era sequels. And after I did a few of those, my interest in the whole thing just fizzled and died. And for a couple of years there, I wasn't gonna bother to finish the series. But in January, I made it my goal to get through the last 4 movies, and here I am. I decided weeks ago to cover the last 2 entries in one video. I had heard such bad things about Super Monster that I wanted to just skip it, but there are a few of you here who probably wouldn't let that slide. So to get myself across the finish line, I came up with this compromise. I'll knock them both out at once. Up first from 1971 is Gamera vs. Zigra, the 7th entry in the series, Japanese title Gamera Tai Shinkai Kaiju Zigra, directed by Noriaki Yuasa. An alien ship blows up Japan's moon base, and magnitude 12 earthquakes begin occurring on Earth as a preamble to the arrival of a UFO from planet Zigra. 2 kids and their marine biologist dads who go to check it out are zapped and brought aboard, where they meet an alien lady who reveals that her people have come seeking a new planet with plenty of water. Earth fits the bill, but the aliens are upset about all the sludge, so they demand the humans surrender before they do any more damage. With a nonsensical bit of luck, the children and their hypnotized fathers are able to escape, but because they've seen too much of the ship's inner workings, the alien lady's robotic overlord, Zigra, orders her to kill them. She would actually like to kill all the people, but the voice tells her to let them live so they can become food. Nice. So the alien lady comes to Earth and starts hunting down the kids, while Gamera goes to battle with an underwater monster called Zigra. I guess I just call everything Zigra. The planet, the ship, the monster, the lady. I found this penultimate entry to be pretty boring, and I've learned that that's kind of a cardinal sin with a movie like this. Be good, be scary, be creative, be funny, just don't be dull. It's got a cutesy quirkiness, and if you're a little kid, you probably would enjoy it, but it doesn't have much to offer more mature viewers. It took way too long for the plot to get going, and when it did, it was bland. It prominently features Kamogawa SeaWorld, especially the orcas there, and there's a scene with a dead dolphin on the table. They're talking about dissecting it, and I don't know if it's a real dead dolphin on screen. I hope not, but after the elephant clip in the last movie, I wouldn't be surprised. This is also the preachiest Gamera movie, with a heavy-handed environmentalist message delivered by a condescending extraterrestrial to boot. It even ends with a line about pollution, in case you didn't get the point the first 3 or 4 times. The main characters are a boy named Kenichi and a girl named Helen. While their dads are working together, she and her older sister are staying with them because their mom's pregnant. The girls are played by Arlene and Gloria Zellner, real-life sisters, I presume, in their only screen appearance. I had said that the 2 boys in the last one seemed a little old to be Gamera movie protagonists. Well, these ones seem too young. They're often bickering in their high-pitched, squeaky voices, which I figure is meant to be a comical mimicry of the age-old battle of the sexes, and I couldn't help noticing how often the little girl looks like she doesn't know what's going on. She's just speaking her lines while staring into space or looking toward the crew. At least she's cute. The other major character is the alien lady, played by Eiko Yanami. It seems like this is the first time they've had a woman with a little va-va-voom in a Gamera movie, and they went kinda crazy, putting her in a bodysuit, tights, and boots on the ship, and then including a gimmick where she hypnotizes women to steal their clothes so that she can blend in on Earth. Of course, she picks a girl in a bikini first, but once she's at SeaWorld, that's too conspicuous, so she zaps this woman. Her pursuit of the children, which should be kinda scary, she tries to feed them to the orcas at one point, is mostly just goofy and cartoonish, since she has to act like she's completely outpaced by these two little kids. The alien lady's eyes turn red when she zaps her victims, leaving them in a zombie-like trance. They emit non-human brainwaves, though, and a scientist figures out they can be cured via transceiver waves. So the transceiver reveals a solution again, just like it did in the last movie. Where's the other monster, you might be asking? Well, the UFO surfaces and starts ripping ships in half. The kids witness this, don't they look shocked? And then it charges them. It turns away at the last second. Why? I don't know. And then right before it comes back, Gamera shows up and carries them to safety. He then descends for a noisy underwater battle, whacking the ship with rocks and sticks. It shoots lasers, Gamera blows it up, but a little metal shark comes out, which isn't that intimidating until Earth's water makes it abnormally large. They had to even the playing field, or else this would be a short movie. Gamera and Zigra, the now giant swordfish shark, go at it, and at first, it's not much of a fight. Kinda like the last movie. Gamera flips it over, swims up to the surface with it, throws it around, but when he steps on its tail, that's the last straw. Zigra pops up, flippers a-flapping, and blasts a beam at Gamera that immobilizes him. That might not be entirely original, but at least looks-wise, we haven't seen a monster quite like Zigra before. Zigra begins broadcasting the alien overlord's message, or maybe Zigra is the alien overlord, I don't know. It bombastically declares the human race an ugly life form, unfit to use the oceans freely, while Zigra is a beautiful life form and deserves the right. You know, as far as the effects go, they're not bad. There are some charming miniatures in the beginning on the moon base, and the tokusatsu stuff is pretty standard. But Daiei was in serious financial trouble here, on the verge of bankruptcy, and you can see where they cut corners. There's talk of earthquakes, but no destruction sequences, just a still of the aftermath. These SeaWorld planes are the same models used to transport the statue in Gamera vs. Jiger, and while the alien ship has a surprisingly pretty exterior, like it's got candy or Fruit Loops stuck on it, the simplistic interior looks quite a bit like the one 2 movies ago. The last part of the film involves the men diving in a bathysphere to revive Gamera with sound waves. The kids sneak aboard, and typical children, they immediately fixate on the camera and start making faces. Zigra attacks, and they get cut off with just 1 hour of oxygen left. And they're in there for 8 hours, so this is a scary situation, it's very serious. There should be intense drama here, because when they're finally rescued, they should be dead, and they seem like they're dead. I just didn't feel the drama. The movie did not do a sufficient job selling this to me. And then, in another weird bit of luck, or an inexplicable act of mercy, or an act of negligence, or just plain stupidity, Zigra was kind enough to freeze them in time. So they didn't even need oxygen, they're just fine. It's Gamera, who's brought back to life Frankenstein-style with a bolt of lightning, that rescues the bathysphere while Zigra is recovering from light exposure. And then we have one more fight. Zigra gets in some nasty slices, but Gamera zooms into the sky and drops him, the same tactic we've seen in all the other movies. Once Zigra is down, Gamera uses a rock to play him like a xylophone. And that is funny, the sassy way it goes into the Gamera march. Best part of the movie. Is this a horrible film? No, it's competent, and I can understand why some people would like it. I just didn't find it that engaging. It's not different enough, not funny enough when it's trying to be, and not insane enough in the final act to make up for everything else. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it's just so noisy. I think that's what's turned me off of the Gamera movies more than anything else. Gamera's shrieking, the other monsters shrieking, the kids shrieking. Ah! Make it stop! Moving on to the last Gamera movie I have to cover, we jump ahead to 1980 for the 8th film in the series, and what was the final Gamera film for a period of 15 years until the Heisei trilogy began. Gamera Super Monster, Japanese title Uchu-Kaiju Gamera, or Space Monster Gamera, was a project put together in an attempt to make some money and save Daiei from bankruptcy. It didn't work. The movie was a box office flop. The pirate spaceship Xenon is on its way to take over the Earth. A spacewoman disguised as a human senses the approaching danger and telepathically alerts her two comrades, who join her in an effort to defend the planet with the help of a young boy and Gamera, who emerges to do battle with each monster the spaceship releases. You know what? I was prepared to hate this. It seems everyone, Gamera fans included, agrees that this is the worst of the series, so I dreaded having to sit through it. Maybe my expectations were set too low. For whatever reason, I found this movie wasn't nearly as bad as I had been led to expect. Frankly, in my opinion, it's not that much worse than its predecessors, and in certain ways, it's a little better. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not good. The effects are really rough, it lacks originality, it rips off the plot of the last Gamera movie with the alien lady sent to Earth to get rid of people, it's corny, and the visuals are repetitive. By far its worst offense is its heavy use of stock footage. Super Monster disregards the sequels, but reuses their destruction footage and battle scenes, having Gamera fight Gauss, Zigra, Viras, Jiger, Giron, and Baragon in that order. There's also stock footage from other movies, which I didn't recognize because I haven't seen them, but I could still tell it wasn't new stuff. And in the case of the spaceship, wherever this stock footage comes from, it is itself a blatant ripoff of the battlecruiser from Star Wars. Daiei was already struggling in the early 70s when they made Gamera vs. Zigra, and by 1980 they couldn't afford to make a new effects-heavy film, so they recycled old material. They pilfered what they had. Is that a crime? Not really. They owned it, so it's not stolen. And I suppose if you've never seen those other movies, it'll feel new and interesting. If you're an 8-year-old kid and this is the first Gamera movie you see, maybe it's a lot of fun, maybe it's exciting, I don't know. But if you have seen those other movies, if you're going through the whole series, it's pretty lame. And Japanese audiences in 1980 had the same disappointed reaction. Allegedly, the only new live-action kaiju material they filmed was this footage of Gamera, and it's awful, so stiff, so ugly, so poorly integrated. I'd heard a long time ago that Super Monster was just a clip show, that's why I wanted to skip it. Anytime any of these movies just replays footage from a past one, I'm like, oh, no. I've already seen the preceding movies twice to review them, and that was plenty. Just before sitting down to watch this, I googled percentage of stock footage in Gamera Super Monster, and the AI overview said approximately 92 to 99%, with only 2 minutes of new footage. What? Well, surprise, surprise, the AI overview has it wrong. I can't believe it. Probably because it's sourcing its answer from hyperbolic social media discussions. I didn't calculate the correct percentage, especially because there are some things that I don't know if it's recycled or not. The Superman ripoff footage of the 3 space women, I think is original to this movie, but I don't know, it could be from somewhere else. But my estimate is that it's closer to 40%. That's still a lot, and it's gonna be tedious unless A, you've never seen any of these movies, so it's all new, B, you have seen them, but you love them, or C, you make liberal use of the fast forward button, as I did. But after what I had been prepared for, 92 to 99%, I was pleasantly surprised. Our main human is Keiichi, a boy who's a big fan of Gamera. The local pet shop owner, who is the lead spacewoman in disguise, lets him take his favorite turtle home. His mother convinces him the turtle will be happier if he releases it, and when Gamera appears, Keiichi is certain it's his turtle. There's no explanation for how that could be, but the clairvoyant dreams he has seem to prove some special connection. This kid's not terribly annoying. In a way, I kind of liked him, though he's not the brightest bulb, and he could learn a thing or two about stranger danger. The alien lady keeps popping up everywhere he goes. He even finds her waiting outside of his school, and asking him weirdly passive-aggressive questions, and it takes him forever to figure out she's bad. The movie does have some interesting elements, though. Disappointing as the effects are, I acknowledge that the thrifty use of space artwork is pretty good. Zooming in on a painting is an old-fashioned way to save money, and I could see right through it, but at least it was visually appealing. They couldn't get the license to play the Godzilla March, which is very strange to me, so they came up with a new boisterous theme song. I didn't actually mind this at all. The Gamera March never grew on me, so it was nice to hear something else for a change. I didn't need to hear it 3 or 4 times. The space women use keyboard chords to do mysterious spacey things, like make their vehicles disappear, open a portal in the wall, pull up an X-ray of Gamera. What the heck is this? There's a cheeky little Easter egg showing a Godzilla parody movie poster. I liked that. And there's a trippy animated sequence of a train zooming into the sky. I have no idea why that happens, or what it has to do with the film. As the story approaches its conclusion, the theme of self-sacrifice begins to become obvious. The leader of the space women, Kilara, the one who does most of the talking, is willing to sacrifice herself in order to get an alien control device off of Gamera. She's fine, though. That threat only lasted about 30 seconds. She and the bad alien lady, Giruge, have a lengthy martial arts fight sequence, and I personally find that kind of thing tedious, but Mako Fumiake, who plays Kilara, was not just an actress and a singer, she performs the theme song over the main titles, but a professional wrestler as well, so they wanted to showcase her talent. The aftermath is where we get an unusual twist. Kilara spares Giruge, who immediately goes to kill the space women, but she can't bring herself to do it, so in disgrace, she attempts to kill herself instead. They disarm her and bring her to Keiichi's house to recover, and Keiichi, despite the plain evidence that she was just being nice to get information, and she was ordered to kill them all, wants her to stay and be the older sister he has always wanted. It's random and bizarre, but there is a nice message about forgiveness there, and dare I say, it's a more compelling plotline than anything in the previous movies. Gamera makes a triumphant return, the last of his kaiju enemies vanquished. When Giruge receives a message from her alien overlord, she sacrifices herself to save the space women, informing them with her last breath that the enemy is coming. Gamera heads into space to face off against the galactic cruiser, though Keiichi is wrecking his vocal cords yelling at him not to go, for he is not likely to survive the confrontation. The final battle is nothing to write home about, just a dramatic zoom in on 2 stationary objects until they crash into each other, and then there's nothing. The kid is very upset, and I'm shocked. Is Gamera really dead? I kept expecting him to show up at the last second like he always does, but nope. The space women take Keiichi flying around Japan, and the credits roll. So Gamera really is presumed dead. I can't believe that they actually did it. I wonder if this is another reason why fans didn't like this movie. Gamera's not supposed to die at the end. It's the only Gamera sequel that had the nerve to kill him. And somehow I feel this gives the movie more emotional weight than the last 2 or 3 or more Gamera movies combined. There were never any seriously high stakes in those other movies. The kids might be in peril, there might be danger, there might be the threat of something bad happening, but it never feels real, and it never lasts for more than like a minute or two. Everything always turned out the same way at the end. This throws you for a loop, and the kids' reaction felt sincere. Like, the degree of sadness and shock and devastation that he feels, it's written all over his face, that felt real to me. So while it's not good, and I can't say wholeheartedly, oh, I liked Super Monster, I did find that it had some redeeming value. I actually found it more engaging than Gamera vs. Zigra and Gamera vs. Jiger, and I would argue that it's not as horrible as some people say. Granted, I did skip through most of the stock footage. And that's a wrap on Gamera. To those of you who are Gamera fans, I am sorry that my reviews took the turn they did. After my Godzilla series, I had a lot of requests that I do Gamera next. I was never exactly excited about it. I didn't have the same enthusiasm going into it as I did with the Godzilla series. But I agree that it seemed like a logical follow-up. If I had known how it was gonna go, however, I wouldn't have committed. The truth is, unlike Godzilla, Gamera as a character never grew on me. I never became a fan. He was okay, but that was about it. And with each Showa-era sequel, I liked the series less and less. The whole thing became off-putting, just too repetitive, tedious, and loud. I did enjoy some of the films, though. The Heisei Gamera trilogy is decent, and I actually liked Gamera the Brave. I think I enjoyed that more than all the other entries in the franchise, although I do recognize what a departure it is and why people put it in a separate category. There are some people who would say, that's not even a real Gamera movie, but I liked it the most. And of the Showa sequels, hands down, Gamera vs. Giron was my favorite, the most bonkers of a bonkers lot. Will I ever watch another Gamera movie? I don't know, we'll see what happens. Will they ever make Gamera vs. Godzilla? I'd watch that. Godzilla better win! I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of Gamera vs. Zigra, or Super Monster, or the Gamera series as a whole in the comments below. I look forward to hearing what you all have to say, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.